Hey you, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is Douglas James. Today I'm going to be talking about the 22 things that I learned in 2022. Hey, it was a crazy year. A lot of insights, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of trials, tribulations. I think that when you're looking at anything that you're doing in life, business, family, whatever it is, these 22 things that I'm going to be going over today on this video, I think can really help you get closer to what matters to you with limiting as many scars as possible. That's really what it's all about. You know, when we go through life, we're going to get scarred. We're going to go through troubles and mistakes, but it's all about picking up the pieces, learning, moving forward to find the most efficient path forward. And the things that I learned in 2022, I think were quite impactful, and I'm excited to share it with you. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe for regular videos. Hey, I got videos coming out all the time. If you've been following me, you're seeing videos blow up here all the time. We're talking about business, financial literacy, leadership, also crypto and stuff like that. So make sure that you do smash the follow button or the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Now let's get right into it. So the first thing I put on here, it says, no one's coming to save you. Now this might sound like a slap in the face or a punch in the face or a punch in the gut. And if you feel that when I say that, hey, no one's coming to save you, that's really what it should do to you. It really should feel like kind of like a punch in the gut, because the fact of the matter is, when you hear that, it's like no one really is coming to save you. No one's going to come ring your doorbell. No one's going to come knock on your door. Nobody's going to call you. Nobody's going to text you. Nobody's going to send you an email and say, you know, hey, I'm here to solve all your problems for you. Tell me what I need to do to solve all your problems. Like, sure, in a Disneyland or a Hollywood movie, I'm sure that's kind of stuff happens, but in the real world where you and I live, that typically doesn't happen. You know, do I believe in miracles? Absolutely, I believe in miracles. Things totally happen. Miracles fall on people's laps all the time, but that's really few and far between for people like you and I on this video right now. When I say no one's coming to save you, really what that is saying is you need to do the work. You need to show up. You need to take care of your family. You have to instill the mindset in yourself that you're going to break through any challenge, any issues, and be resourceful and take accountability and ownership of everything that's in your life, and take accountability and ownership of your results. Take accountability and ownership of your mistakes and your issues and your problems, and get through them, right? Because no one's coming to save you. When I first started in business, I mean, that's exactly, you know, I was prospecting, I was making calls, I was sending emails, all the stuff that you guys do to grow your businesses, running ads, all these things. And if it wasn't for my personal effort of showing up every day and putting in the work, nothing would have happened. Like, no one was going to like make the phone call for me or send the email for me. Even some of the sophisticated technology that we might use today, there's still a force of function. There's still a force of function from a human being to set up the software, to set up the system, right? So if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you. Yeah, you can pay somebody to do it, but again, that's a force of function. That's you exchanging money for services, right? And then there's obviously limitations in that, because you can't really sit on your hands and expect everything to be done for you. There's always a force of function on you as a human being, right? So to abdicate that responsibility and push it off to other people, that's you basically saying that I'm not worthy of the results that I'm trying to achieve in life, right? So if you're saying that you want this lifestyle, or you want this financial goal for your family, or you want this house, or you want these things for your family, then your actions cannot be diametrically opposed to that. There has to be an equal amount of effort for you to achieve the results that you're trying to achieve, right? So that's where I'm coming from when I say no one's coming to save you. It's a punch in the gut, and it should feel like that, and it should get you fired up because now you're in control. Now you should feel empowered, and if you need permission to take what's yours in life, then here's your permission right now, right? Here's the permission that you need. If you're looking for permission from another individual, I just gave it to you, but you didn't need it. You honestly didn't need it. You have the ability to take what's yours, right? And take accountability and ownership of your results. So that's what I'm saying when I say no one's coming to save you. Number two, most people think they aren't like most people. All right, so there's like this perceived notion that a lot of us have. I've even thought this as well. We're like, oh, I'm so different than everyone else. You know, no one's like me. But if you read that, most people think there aren't most people or like most people. That's completely ass backwards, if I may, right? You know what? We're all human beings, and we all really do think alike. You know, the math on that statement really doesn't add up if you look at it, right? So I wouldn't get so much in in your head and thinking that you're on a planet all by yourself, and the thoughts and the feelings that you go through, that other people aren't going through them as well. Because I can guarantee you that probably 99% of other people are also having those same doubts, those same frustrations, and those same feelings that you might be having, right? My mentor talks about the human mindset, how we're all born with this mind that's really designed and built for survival. Like, it only cares about you breathing, you getting enough oxygen, you getting enough water, right? My mentor told me this one time. He's like, you can completely survive without arms and legs. Like, you don't need those things. You just need a spine and a brain. That's it. As long as you have those things, you can be coherent, you can talk to people, you can eat, you can do all these different things, and you can live for a long time. You don't need arms and legs. That's crazy. That would suck to live without arms or legs, right? But it's true. So this idea where you think you're better than people or anything like that, not saying you maybe use specifically on this call, but this is an idea that most of us walk around with. You know, we think we might be better than anyone else and we're different than most people. But, you know, the truth of the matter is, like, if you were to conduct a survey and sit down and have conversations with people, they would have the same concerns. It's about how they show up and deal with their concerns and their problems. Like, are they sitting there just complaining and pointing the finger, or are they taking ownership, and are they troubleshooting and getting through their problems and being resourceful, right? That's really what is going to define that state. You know, are you coming in from a place where you're being a victim, or are you coming in from a place where you're a problem solver? Right? The lazy thing to do is to be the victim, right? And then you become a person that is looking for a persecutor. Or if you're trying to be a savior, you're like, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Victim, I feel like that as well. Let's partner up and like make even more noise and not take responsibility of our problems. Let's, you and I, complain to each other and talk about how bad the persecutor is or the villain is, right? Like, that is so very unproductive. You have to take personal accountability. So when we're talking about this triangle, this victim triangle, we can break that by simply taking ownership of our problems instead of, you know, because the savior, right? The savior, they go to the victim and they're like, hey, I feel like you too. Let's bitch and complain to each other about how bad the villain is. Well, the savior is actually wanting to be helped. They're like, hey, I see you down and out. Let me help you, right? But what the savior is doing is they're ignoring their own problems to help the victim so they feel fulfilled. It's a false sense of fulfillment, right? So you have to be very careful when you start to adopt this savior or victim mentality, because you could be adding to the problem instead of being useful, right? And it's all about being useful and helpful and taking ownership. So it's funny, I'm already through 2 pieces and I still have 20 to go, and hopefully we get through them in time. But it's funny that I keep defaulting to the same thing. And what is it defaulting to? Because does anyone want to let me know in the comments? What do I keep defaulting to that this really brings it back to? Accountability and ownership and responsibility. I'm only down into 2 of these things and I got 20 to go. So I don't know, maybe the trend will change as I go through the list. I'm sure there's going to be other insights, but I think that this is important to realize and hit home right out the gate. So number 3, get the ball out of your court. Right? Get the ball out of the court. I can't tell you how many times in my life, and I've seen this with other people, where they take on a task, they take on a project, they take on a responsibility. They don't do the work to get the ball out of the court. They expect the other person to read their mind and think and know everything that they're thinking instead of informing them or communicating with them. Right? How many times have you been on a project with a team? You know, I was in the Navy for 10 years, so there's many times where I was on a team. I'm on a team now. We're always like conversating projects. You know, we just had the retreat last week in Aspen, which was beautiful, but there's always a collaboration, right? And you can't assume that people know what's going on in your head without you communicating, right? So if something's given to you as a task in the project, whatever your role or responsibility is, you have to fulfill that and follow through with that commitment. And then once you fulfill that and follow through with that commitment, then you notify the other individual that's a part of that project or that task or whatever it is, so that they can now do what they need to do, because they're probably waiting on you. And really what happens on why people don't get the ball out of their court, the ball is probably in their court and they're sitting there probably feeling too overwhelmed or too frustrated, and they end up quitting. Then they don't even tell the other person, like, hey, I'm out, team deuces. I'm too overwhelmed. By the way, the feeling of overwhelmment is really a BS excuse to quit, right? If you take a look at your life, right? Some of you guys might have been on this planet, I'm 35 years old. I've been on this planet 35 years. I've been an adult. I joined the Navy when I was 19. So for the last 16 years, I've really had to obviously figure out my own life as an adult, because when you're a kid or a teenager living at home, like everything's kind of, it's not the same, right? So how many times in your life have things like kind of gone wrong and you're frustrated and overwhelmed, but you just kind of like figure it out and you get, doesn't it feel like up until this point you've gotten through adversity, so you know what it feels like to get through adversity, right? So I hope that we can take adversity and things that we've learned in our life and we actually learn from it and implement the things we learned to make better decisions going forward. So when we talk about getting the ball out of your court, this really comes down again to accountability, because if you're holding the ball and you quit, you give up on your team, right? You didn't take ownership, you didn't take responsibility, you expected everyone to do everything for you, and then worse, you gave up on your team. Because when you give up and when you throw in the towel, and when you surrender like that and you say like, this is too much, I can't take it, what you're really doing is you're really being a horrible teammate, and no one's going to like you for it, whether you think so or not. Like when you quit on your family, you quit on your kids, you quit on your team, the project, whoever you're a part of, whatever kind of commitment that you made that you were going to fulfill on. If you quit, you're doing a disservice not only to yourself. If I don't eat, I'm good as long as my kids eat. Like I will figure out food. Right? You quit on yourself, but more so you're quitting on other people and other people's families. And you're taking away an opportunity. When they showed up for you, you're taking that opportunity of growth and impact away from them by throwing in the towel. Does that make sense? So be very careful with holding on the ball and not getting out of your court. Take accountability and obviously communicate. So I hope that makes sense. So number 4, this is a fun one so we can loosen up the mood a little bit. I'm a weirdo and I love it. I love this one. I'm a weirdo and I love it. Be okay with being yourself. If you're a little strange, if you like to crack sex jokes or whatever, or joke about whatever, like it's okay, guys. Like be yourself. Don't worry about what people think about you. They're going to think what they want anyway, so F them, right? Like, this is how I live my life. I'm actually a pretty strange person. Is George on the call? I mean, I am a very strange person. He's probably over there nodding his head. I just like to have fun, and I like to keep it loose, right? Like, the world is a little crazy, right? And if you don't have a sense of humor about things, like, you're just going to be, like, in turmoil. So I like to have fun with my team. I like to have fun with you guys. I like to have fun with my kids and my family, my friends, and crack jokes. I'm a little quirky at times too. And I think the main message about that is just be yourself, and like I said before, don't worry about what other people think about you, because they're going to have their opinions anyway, and you can't control their thoughts or their actions. The only thing you can control is your thoughts and your own actions, right? So if you're a weirdo, and you're probably also, when I first started my business, I was definitely strange, and I was definitely a weirdo to people that were in the Navy, that were committed to the 20, 30 years, like stay in the military and get the government check and get the free healthcare and all that stuff. Nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, great. I support it. But when I was showing up and my friends and stuff and people in the Navy were asking me about what I was doing when I was getting off, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to meet this chiropractor. I'm going to go close this deal. Hopefully it goes through. It's like $5,000 a month. Like I say that and they're like, dude, are you smoking crack? Like, what are you talking about going to close a deal for $5,000 a month? Like, is that drugs? Like, what are you talking about? They thought I was freaking crazy, right? So I was a weirdo. And even if I tried to explain to them, they were like, oh, okay, man. Like, yeah, okay, you go close your deal, bro. We're going to the bar. We're going to go have some fun. We worked all day. I'm like, cool. Go to the bar. Do whatever you want. So in perception of other people, you're going to be a weirdo no matter what, especially if you're creating space between you and them and you're elevating yourself. They're going to think you're crazy. Some of my family thought I was crazy when I first started doing what I was doing. So it's okay. Just embrace it. Be you. Don't worry about what people think or say about you, and just own it. Be a weirdo. Number 5. Closer is better than more. Man, I really love this one. Closer is better than more, number 5. So many of us here, including myself, have been responsible for wanting more. Like, I just need to make more money. I need to hit 20 grand a month. I need to hit 10 grand a month. I need to do this. I need to do that. And they lose sight and forget, what are we doing this in the first place? Why are we doing this in the first place, right? What actually matters to us? So they get caught on this idea. They put this arbitrary number against this arbitrary timeline. They say, in 90 days, if I don't make 15 grand a month, basically my life's over and I'm going to quit because that's just what I do, right? And I think that's the worst thing you could possibly do. There's nothing wrong with setting goals. Like, please set a massive goal, put it on a timeline. That's great. But you know what? If you don't hit the goal, take responsibility for that result and see how you can do better. And here's another thing. If your goal is like 15 grand a month in 90 days and you made 2 grand or 3 grand or 5 grand or 8 grand, great. Congratulations. You didn't hit your goal. You came up short, but look, you're making X more than you were than when you first started, right? And you gained all this experience. For example, like what we do here with marketing, you gain all this experience about advertising, about the Facebook platform, about behavioral targeting, about landing pages, about copy, about video marketing, about all these different things that we talk about, sales and persuasive writing and coaching and all this stuff that we talk about. You get all of this experience, but yet for some reason, because you didn't hit the goal that you put against the timeline, it was all for nothing. And you forgot the things that you learned on your journey. So take ownership, take responsibility, and remember why you're doing this in the first place. I talk a lot about my daughter. I have kids. They're exactly the reason why I do what I do every day. And I optimize my life, even though I travel as much as I do and I'm going to places, I'm doing everything for them. And what I do is I try to spend as much time with them as possible because my kids is like everything for me, So for me, getting closer to my kids and having more time with my daughter is more important to me than closing this massive deal. Yes, I'm going to do the effort that I need to do every day to grow my business, but the reason why I'm doing it is getting closer to what matters, which is more time with my kids. You see how that works? So be careful with setting the goals and don't forget why you're doing this. And if you come up short, it's okay. You look backwards and you're like, damn, I did learn a lot of stuff. I made a little bit of money. I didn't make as much. But now that I've done this, let me tweak a few things, take ownership, and make better decisions moving forward. Right? Closer is better than more. Okay. Number 6, high quick starters need implementers. All right. So let me know in the comments how many of you guys here see a thing and you're like, oh my gosh, I could make so much money doing that. And then you get all excited about the idea and then you get into it. You're like, man, this is like harder than I thought. I think I'm gonna quit. Who's had that thought? Like, let me know in the comment in the chat. I see the hands going up. Appreciate that. I encourage you guys to go to colby.com, take that test. It's $55. It's going to validate really what you might think about yourself. So there's 4 things. There's high quick starters, there's implementers, there's people that follow through, and there's analytical people. There's 4 different types in the Colby test. A lot of people are high quick start, but the problem with high quick start, low implementer people is they get all excited about the thing, and then when they go to do it, they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But they got excited about the thought of doing it. So they jumped in and did the thing, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you as a person if that's you. You just need to know what your strengths are and you need to know what your weaknesses are. And I'm going to call them weaknesses, areas of improvement. It's okay to have weaknesses. We're all humans. But you got to know that about yourself and you got to know how to show up, right? So for me, I'm actually a high quick start. I'm very low on follow through, very low on implementer. And I'm actually pretty up there when it comes to analytical. I like to have the information. So for me, new idea, boom, let's go. But I got to have my operations person there. I got to have my project manager there because if they're not there, then nothing's going to get done. I can come up with the crazy visionary long-term ideas, but I need to have that team there to implement it. And when I first started, I hadn't know this about myself because when I got unmotivated and I was trying to follow through and implement, I reminded myself, hey, I need to stay focused here because I don't have maybe the team or the capital or anything to hire. So I need to make sure I really do buckle down because when that boogeyman in the back of my head says, hey, Doug, you shouldn't do this work. You should go, to the bar or watch a movie or whatever. You need to know that about yourself so you follow through and you implement. If you stick it out long enough, you will most likely land a client if you do everything you're supposed to do. Money can come in and then you can obviously hire out an implementer, a person that's going to follow through, right? Does that make sense? Know that about yourself. If you're somebody that is an implementer, but not a quick start, that's okay too. You might need to work with a visionary or maybe you're the person that likes to do the funnels and do the ads, but you don't like talking to people. That's okay. Just know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and then you'll be set. So colby.com, I recommend everyone take that. It's just $55. It's going to really help you understand a lot more about yourself so you show up better in all that you do. Number 7, I suck at follow through. That's why I have a team. Okay, so I kind of answered that in number 6. If I don't have my project manager, my ops, my team there, when I come up with the crazy ideas, nothing's going to happen. It's their job to implement it and follow through. Number 8, this is important. Your team may suck if you don't pay them enough. So you listening, you may have a team, you may not when it comes to business, but I can tell you from what I learned is as soon as you get to the point where you're growing your company, you're growing your business, and you're hiring people, pay them. Because if you don't pay them good, they're going to leave you and they're going to go work for someone else. Okay? Like, give them what they need to show up and be happy and fulfilled so that they're not worried about money because you're too cheap to pay them. Okay? This is something that I learned very early on, and it's been wonderful. The thing that I will also add in there that might not be on the list, just because this is a little bit of a bonus, anyone that you consider working with, partnering with, or hiring, it could be a partner. Like one of you guys on this call might say, oh, John likes to talk to people over the phone, and I hate it, but I just want to do the funnels. You guys might start working together. Well, both of you guys suggest, hey, let's take the Kolbe test, or hey, what's your Kolbe results? Like, do that so that you know that you're creating the right partnership with people, and have employees or contractors also take the Kolbe tests so you know where their mind's coming from, so you know how to answer them, what kind of person they are. The one thing, when you start to hire people, one of the things that could be a headache is if you hire somebody for the wrong role. Like, you want to hire an implementer, but they have a low follow through, right? Like, you want to make sure that you're hiring for the right position. So make sure you do that. Let's see. Number 9, baby girl shows daddy more love after 3. When I wrote this, it was December 30th, right? So part of it I was jotting down when I was actually with my daughter, and I got her this big playhouse for Christmas, and I was laying there playing with her and stuff. So I think for this one, I kind of just looked over and I just realized how much more love she gives me after 3 years old. So if you're a parent, for me, obviously I'm a dad, right? So I have a daughter, a little girl. So up until a certain point, she was all about her mom, but now she's, with me more often now. So anyway, yeah, she shows me way more love now, and she's more excited to call me, call for daddy. So I thought that was a really cool thing. So you could probably relate to that if you're a parent. If you're not a parent, then maybe you can't relate to it so much. Maybe you might have a dog or something. Yeah, 3-year-old, I noticed that she definitely calls for me more and wants to be around me more, and it's cute. So cool. So let's get into 10. So more time doesn't equal better quality. So this number 10 actually relates a lot to this mindset that a lot of us come to from like the corporate world, or if you have a 9-to-5 job. A lot of people, want to clock in their 8 or 9 hours or 10 hours because they know they're going to make, whatever the number is. Let's say it's $30 an hour and they work 10 hours a day, which is kind of a longer day than normal. That's easy math for you. You know that if you go sit at work for 10 hours, you're going to make $300 a day, right? And a lot of people do have security in that, but they're capped at that $30 an hour, and your employer is probably not going to want to pay you more than 40 hours or maybe potentially 50 hours if you have an overtime situation, right? So if you do the math on $30 an hour, 10 hours, that's 50 hours, 10 hours a day times 50. So that's about $1,500 a week, right? Times 4, that you're capped about $6,000 a month. You're capped up. So $6,000 a month, you're capped at $72,000 a year, right? At that number. You can't make any more than that because you're capped out. And that's typically the deal with being employed. Like, you really can't make more money when you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner. You don't really have that. You don't have that ceiling at all. You can make as much money as you want. You just got to put in the effort, right? When you work for someone else, you have that cap, you have that ceiling. So a lot of us come from that corporate world or that 9-to-5 thinking, and we get into business, and we haven't shifted over to entrepreneur and understanding that there is no ceiling, that there is no cap. However, no money will come in unless you do the work or effort, right? But if you can get down a system and you continuously put in the work and the effort, you can start to make money and have no ceiling. So this whole idea of, more time doesn't equal better quality, you got to understand that mindset shift. And also, when you start to work with people and you start to prospect and land clients and deals, you have to have that same mentality as well. For example, for me, I will pay somebody $10,000 for something that might take them an hour. But because they got it done in an hour, I bought so much time back, because that time that it might have took them just 1 hour to do the one thing, it might have such a profound impact on my business that now I can increase my profit margin by 5 or even 10% month over month. You see how that works? Like, I am willing to pay top dollar if things are done like that. Like, if I paid, like, lawyers, man, like, lawyers get paid by the hour. Like, my attorney, he's like $300 an hour. I'm like, hey man, I gotta write this. I got this new client. Can you write a contract? Or I got this new partner. You write this thing. He's like, yeah, man, it's gonna take 6 hours of work. I'm like, dude, that's gonna take 6 hours. Like, I can just freaking look up a template and modify the business names. Like, what are you talking about? You know, so a simple contract, he might charge me like $2,000 for, or something crazy, right? So attorneys, like, they want to, you know, charge for time because they're getting paid by the hour. So when you start to work with clients, right, you got to instill that mindset that you have the best thing there is. You're unique, you stand out, and you have to figure out what those things are for your business or for your agency. And if your prices come in higher than normal, then you need to understand your value and know your value and articulate what your value is. Because if not, the other person's not going to know why they're paying you more than they might pay someone else, right? So I hope that makes sense. So for me, like I said, I'll pay for speed. Like, I'll pay for results, I'll pay for speed. If it's going to save me time, energy, and increase the money that I make, great. Let's go that route. And that's really like some of the biggest, you know, businesses and CEOs and people that you might see. You'll hear the same thing. Like, they'll pay for speed. You know, speed is so much more important. Like, if I pay 10 grand, they're like, you know, oh, it's 10 grand and we're going to need, you know, 2 weeks to set it up. Like, one vendor might say, hey, it's 10 grand. It's going to take 2 weeks. The other person's like, hey, it's 10 grand. It's going to take an hour. Who do you think I'm going to go with? Right? Like, speed is so important. So I hope that makes sense. Number 11, function over form. So this one's actually really important. So you ever go see a person that's jumping off a springboard, like going into the pool, let's use this one, like a bodybuilding competition, right? You got all these big buff guys, you know, they've been training for months and months and months, eating a crazy diet, chicken breast and rice and broccoli for like a year and years, really, you know, if they're competing for bodybuilding. There's two different things. Like, they go up there and their form is optimized just for aesthetics and looks. But deep down, their stamina is horrible. They cannot run. They cannot walk around like that. It's painful to walk around. They're getting exhausted, right? Their form and how they flex and how they move is completely contradictory to living really a healthy life. Like, you can only be a bodybuilder for so long. Who's the bodybuilder? Ronnie Coleman. He's like, yeah, baby, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? He was an 8-time Mr. Olympian, and now he's on crutches. He used to deadlift 1,000 pounds. Like, it's crazy. You know, so they get up there for this form, right, to look good. Like, they look good in front of everyone. But when you come down to the actual function and practicality of the muscles, they don't stand a chance, right? So the fit, lean person that comes through, that works out, that takes care of their body, that has a better function, that can run, you know, for miles, that can keep up with their kids and run around, they're going to live a lot longer, healthy lifestyle than somebody that's optimizing for how they look. Does that make sense? So same thing in your business and in your personal life. You always want to optimize for function, right? So you always want to go for working with clients and deals, or even in your personal life, right? For function, like, get things in your life that make sense to you. Like, get a house and get a decent car. Don't land a few clients and make 10 grand a month and then try to go lease a Ferrari and lease a house you can't afford. How many of you guys here, I've done this too before, where you got into a lease or you bought a thing that was way outside your means, and you're living a paycheck, and you have a Gucci purse or you have like a Gucci belt on, but you're living a paycheck to paycheck. Like, there's so many people that live their life like that. You know, the designer companies like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Dior, who do you think their biggest customers are? It's not millionaires and billionaires. It's people that work a 9-to-5 job that live paycheck to paycheck. That is their biggest customer, right? And the people that typically buy that stuff is they want to look important, they want to optimize for form, and they want to give the perception that they have money when they really don't. So what's more important, you know, having a decent belt and a decent bag that looks good, that fits nice. It may not have an LV on it. It may not have a big old double G on it, but it looks good and it feels nice, right? So I've done this before, guys. Like, have I bought designer? Yeah, I absolutely bought designer stuff. When I was making like 15 grand a month, I thought I was on top of the world, and I was in like Armani like every weekend spending like 2-3 grand. Like, it was so stupid. You know, there's nothing wrong with celebrating when you start to make a little bit of money. Go pat yourself on the back, go celebrate the win, go buy something that you really wanted. But you start to realize the more money you make, like what's really important is the function of the practicality, right? And then you got to think, oh crap, you know, at any moment this could just stop. It could. The water can just stop running. And now you got a closet full of Gucci and Louis Vuitton, and you got this exotic car in the driveway, but the water faucet stopped. And it might make you regret some of those decisions you might have made with your money. So that's just some wisdom that I personally learned, and I've also heard from other wealthy people. So just be very careful and cognizant of your decision making, you know, when it comes to money. Always optimize for function, not for form. So I hope that makes sense. Number 12, build the lifestyle, not the business. Okay? Build the lifestyle, not the business. Again, closer over more. You know, it's kind of similar. It might be important for you to spend as much time with your family. It might be important to you to take vacations and take time off and relax, but also doing a little bit of work so you're productive. Build your day and your tasks around the lifestyle that you want. In the beginning, this is what I did. In the beginning, I grinded hard, right? I was emailing all day, making calls all day, and I was still in the Navy. I was doing everything I needed to do, and I sacrificed a lot of blood, sweat, tears in the beginning to build it up to a place to where it's at now. And sometimes I go back and I think, if I would have done and grinded that hard where I would I be where I'm at now? It's quite possible that I wouldn't. But here's the reality. I think that there does take some type of hard grind commitment in the beginning to get things going. You got to hit the pavement running. But as you get into it, you don't want to forget why you're doing this in the first place. And you have to remember why you're starting this, and then quickly make the switch to build a lifestyle, not the business. Because if I was still grinding as hard as I was when I first started, my kids would probably not want anything to do with me, and I couldn't see them, right? So it's very important to remember that. It's okay to grind in the beginning. You certainly should be sacrificing a little bit, because something has to give. If you're working an 8 to 9 hour job and you're trying to build a business, something has to give. You either need to sleep less, you have to have a hard conversation with your spouse and tell them, hey, this is what I'm doing. I need you to take care of the kids during these hours because I'm working on this online thing, right? You got to have that. There has to be sacrifice in the home. Those hard conversations had to be had. Yeah, that's just necessary in the beginning for sure. But as you start to set up your systems and operations, then you could start to really optimize for the lifestyle, not so much the business. And then it becomes easier and easier and easier as you go along. So yeah, I would definitely focus on the lifestyle, because the business, you can't take the business with you. You can't take the money when you're gone. You know, hopefully in 100 years, I'll be there with you, and we're all going to be probably moved on from this earth in 100 years from today. We're not going to be able to take all the money and the cars and stuff with us, whatever we do. But what we can do is live every day with purpose and reason for our family, right? And a big part of that is that lifestyle piece and spending time with them, right? You might be somebody that doesn't care about that, and you want to build a business and like have this crazy, awesome jet lifestyle. Hey, to each your own. I'm not here to judge, but these are my thoughts and feelings towards it. So let's move on. Number 13, passive income isn't real. It's highly efficient active income. There's always a force of function. Okay. So, you know, a lot of people, I think, you know, for us, it's always like semi-passive income. It's never actually passive income where you sit on your hands, do 100% nothing, and money comes in. That's really hard to find, right? There's always a force of function. There's always a force of function. Even if you're investing into a stock, you have to talk to a money manager, a money maker, a market maker, and you got to send the wire, and then you're getting updates, and you got to look at a spreadsheet. There's always a force of function in anything you do. In business, there's going to be a force of function. You got to build funnels. You got to run ads. You got to talk to clients. You got to understand technology and how to use Zoom and all these things, right? There's always a force of function in anything that you do. Even if you're in real estate investments, you're looking at spreadsheets, you're on calls, you're looking at Zoom, you're operating technology, right? There's always something, and there's always an associated risk. So anybody that tells you that they're going to sell you something where you can literally sit on your hands and do absolutely no work like at all, they're lying to you. Okay. So get this idea of passive income out of your head and understand that it's highly efficient active income because you're working on the business. You're working on the income to come in, right? Running a business is your active income. It's the thing that's putting bread on the table. Passive income or more other passive income things might include like real estate or stock or something like that. But again, there's always a force of function. You're looking at a spreadsheet, you're talking to someone, you're on a Zoom call, there's always something. So we need to shift our mind away from like, I want like money to come in and me do nothing, because that's laziness, right? I'm going to talk about earning your dopamine here at number 17 in a second. That's just laziness. You always have to do something. Even today, I am always working on my active income, right? I have semi-passive income, but I have really nothing where I can sit on my hands, do nothing, talk to no one, look at nothing, and money's coming in. It's just a facade. Okay. Number 13, I think this might be a hard one for some people to really accept, but this is very true. This is very true. So take this one to heart for sure. Now, number 14, the best businesses require no force of function, generates cash, and saves time. Now, let me explain this, okay? So basically, there's 4 things that you want to check off the list every single time you get into a business or you get into an investment. You got to ask yourself, right? Is there a cost savings? Is there time savings? Is there a force of function? Or is it a revenue generator? Right? So in any business or investment or anything you get into, you want to check off a yes on at least 3 of these things. Does it save you money? Does it save you time? Does it force you to do something, or does it generate revenue? So sometimes you might start in a partnership. So for me, the best things to look at if I'm doing, the best business to get into requires no force of function, meaning that someone else is doing all the work. Like there's nothing for me to do. Like I might have just invested the money, right? And it's generating me cash and it's saving me time, right? So the one thing that it might not be doing is cost. Maybe it's costing me a little bit more, and that's okay. But I'm checking off at least 3 of those things. So every single business or thing that you get into, you want to check off at least 3 of those things. What I found the best thing that I can get into, that I'm generating cash, I have my time, and that it's not cost, and I'm not having to physically do anything really in the business. So that explains number 14 and the difference between 13 and 14. So let's go to 15. So replace yourself as fast as possible in business. So this is, guys, I got to say, like, this right here has been the biggest thing for me, because if I was in my business, working my business like all the time, I would not have time for family. I would have not time to be, you know, with my daughter or any of that kind of stuff, you know. So the quicker that you can learn the process and the skill sets and the systems, place yourself, right? Have someone do the prospecting, have somebody do the funnels, have somebody do the ads and the technology. The more you can buy your time back, the better off you're going to be cognitively, mentally, right? And then you could have that lifestyle. We talk about building a lifestyle, not the business. You want to build that lifestyle. So replacing yourself as fast as possible in business, I think, has been the biggest thing for me. Having an operations, project manager, media buyers, creative designers, the whole thing. This has been really big for me, and this gives me the max time I need to take care of myself personally, travel, and spend time with my family. Number 16, have a long-term time preference in literally everything that you do. How many times did we get into something and we're like, I said this early, if this doesn't work in 90 days or in 30 days, my life's over and I'm going to quit, right? In anything you do, you have to have a long-term time preference, right? You want to build a business. Well, building a business requires consistent effort over a long period of time, not 30 days, not 60 days, like for years. I've been in business for 8 years. If I would have quit in 30 days or 90 days or 6 months or in a year, I would not be where I'm at. I'd probably still be in the Navy, right? If you guys want to have this lifestyle, it's going to be a long-term commitment, because you have to go through the issues and the challenges and the struggles, right? It's not going to be perfect. Get this notion of perfection out of your head and just focus on what matters. What's the one thing you need to do right now to get this thing done right? You know, not the 1,000 things on the list. I talk about that all the time. So I give this example where, like, VCs or venture capitalists or funds, let's say you have, like, you know, 10 grand or 50 grand that you want to invest into this company. Well, VCs, they'll collect all this cash. Maybe they'll raise $100 million. You invest like 10 grand or 50 grand or whatever it is. Like, that cash, they're okay with that cash being distributed over a 3-year time period, right? 3 years. That means you invest and that money is gone for 3 years and you don't see anything for 3 years. Some real estate funds you get into, like Grant Cardone, I was at his office in Miami early December, and he was talking about how his real estate fund, like everyone that invests with him, they have 10 years. You can't take your money out for 10 years, right? You have to have a long-term time preference in everything you do. If you're doing something and 30 days goes by, 90 days, and 6 months or a year, 2 years goes by, and you're like, oh, this is working out, I think I'm gonna quit. Well, I mean, like we had this conversation earlier about quitting on your team, quitting on yourself, quitting on your family. Like quitters will continue to quit, but winners will continue to win at the same time, right? So, adopt a long-term time preference in everything you do, and I promise you'll thank yourself later for it, because regret is the worst thing that you could ever experience. There's been times in my life where I have quit on things, or I didn't take an opportunity or move forward, and now I think about that. I dread it for such a long time, and I regret it. And then there's people that did it and continue to go, and their life is on another planet, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have just did that. Why did I do that? So regret's the worst thing. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to regret something. All right, have a long-term try preference in what you do. Number 17, earn your dopamine. Earn your dopamine. I think a lot of us here are guilty of scrolling Facebook, of scrolling TikTok, scrolling Instagram. We're bored and we're just looking for dopamine. Our brain is designed to want to feel dopamine and feel excitement and feel euphoria, right? That's why it feels good when you have sex, right? Like we do that because you get this big dopamine hit. Like your dopamine goes off the charts with sex. Your dopamine increases when you eat chocolate. Your dopamine is firing off when you're seeing TikTok videos that are making you laugh. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing about it is our society and our technology are geared towards feeding us dopamine without effort. So we actually don't earn any dopamine and we just get lazy. And then we expect for us to feel good for things just to happen organically without any effort, right? That's how our society is built now in our culture. And you know what? That's okay, but you need to recognize that and understand how the world is working now with all this technology and stuff, and use it to your advantage, right? And understand that it's best to earn your dopamine. That's exactly why social media works and advertising works. Like we market on these platforms because we're basically taking advantage of people that aren't earning their dopamine. I'm myself not really going to scratch the surface of this. Us on this call, we are barely going to scratch the surface with this internet marketing stuff. It is a vast, vast ocean. Like, for example, I read a statistic the other day. I think only like 6 or 7% of the world's oceans have been discovered, and there's like 94% or 93% or something like that undiscovered. So like, what the heck is down there? Like, it seems like every year somebody sees crazy video. Did you guys see the video that Joe Rogan had on his podcast of like the crazy tentacles? Like the tentacles on this thing must have been hundreds of feet long, and it was never seen by humans before, and he had it up on his show. A majority of the ocean is undiscoverable, just like us in internet marketing. What we're doing, like we're not even going to scratch the surface. So you guys have the opportunity to take advantage of people not earning their dopamine, and you flip that on its head and work for your dopamine. That's like, it feels good when you land a client, right? You collect that money, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Like I want that again. And that's good. Go do the work necessary to make that happen again and earn that dopamine. Another example is like people that invest in stocks and crypto. It feels really good when it's going up and up and up, and you got this big green candle, right? For the people that know about stocks and crypto, they're just sitting there and they're watching their balances go up doing nothing, and then now these people that invested like in 2020, 2021 and invested all this money, now we have all these millionaires now, they might have made a whole bunch of money, but they don't know how to replicate that, and they don't know how to earn a living. Now we have all these new millionaires that made money off of crypto and stocks in the last couple of years, young kids too. And what's going to happen is they're going to go through that money and they're not going to know how to replace that. They're not going to have any kind of grit. They're not going to have any kind of dirt underneath their fingernails to know how to make that happen again. So I say this before, but like, be careful with wishing to win the lottery. Like right now, the lottery is having some of the biggest jackpots. I think the Mega Millions was like over $1 billion like 2 times this year, or once in like December. I think the Mega Million was almost $2 billion. It was just 1 point something billion like last week. And how many times in the history of the lottery have you seen it go over $1 billion? Not until recently. And why is that? Because the markets have changed. They're correcting. We might be going into a recession. So a lot of people are feeding into the idea, and they're desperate. So they're buying a lottery ticket because they don't want to earn their dopamine. They just want to win $1 billion and all their problems are solved, right? But how many lottery winners have we heard about in history that were killed or committed suicide or went through all the money in just a matter of a year or months, right? They have zero framework on how to keep that money or earn money. The best thing to do, the tried and true method, is to do the work. That's it. Do the work. Simple as that. No one wants to hear that because it's not the sexy thing. Like, just give me the pill, give me the drug, give me the lottery. Boom, make all my problems go away. You know what? That's Disneyland. It requires real work to have real results for the long term. So earn your dopamine. So I think I hit that one pretty hard. All right, number 18. This was a nice little life hack. Turning on Do Not Disturb on my iPhone indefinitely might be the biggest life hack ever. For somebody like me, indefinitely, for me right now and where I'm at in my life and business, if you have my personal cell phone number and if you have an iPhone on your end, it might say, Douglas has silenced his notifications. And I basically operate like that all the time. Like, if you need something from me, you can text message me, That's just how I work now. My grandma gives me crap because she's like, oh, whatever is emergency, like, give us a call or something like that. I mean, that's fine. I turn it on from time to time. But for me, I'm at the point where, like, I need to guard my time as much as possible because so many people are trying to take it. And when you know and understand your value, you start to get really selfish of your time. And that's not a bad thing. You need to protect your time. Because once people find out what you can do for them or what you have access to, you guys will find this out. When you start making money, you're going to have people at the woodwork you haven't talked to in years. And they're like, hey, can I borrow $500 for this or whatever? You got to protect your time and protect your value. So this has been a life hack. I'm not saying you guys have to do this. You might be in a situation in business or in your life where you got to take incoming calls, especially if you're waiting for a phone call from a potential client. Yes, don't have your phone on Do Not Disturb. But nowadays, I don't really have people calling me like that. They'll text message me. If a buddy wants to refer me a business owner or something like that, it'll happen via text message and we'll communicate when we communicate. It's never usually anything like that. Throughout the day, I will check my text messages and calls and see if I missed anything. So I'm just not like cutting myself off. There are times in the morning where I basically cut myself off from the earth, from the world, so that I can go to the gym and focus on myself. And you got to set up those boundaries. So number 19. Bodybuilding shortens your life. Focus on lean muscle and endurance. So this might just be a personal one. For me, I used to think I had to walk around looking big, and putting on mass. But what I found, and I kind of talked about this earlier on Function Over Form, if you just focus on good foods, focus on being lean, focus on having a good, strong heart and endurance, like that's really what's important. So if you are somebody that was like, if you were younger, like when, 10 years ago, I thought I had to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but now I'm like, no, I don't care about that. Like, I just want to be lean, and I just want to feel good because I want to go for the long term, right? I want to go for that longevity, right? Long-term time preference, same thing with your health. You got to have a long-term time preference as well. So just the lean look for me and the endurance and the health is more important than looking like a bodybuilder. And your heart and your organs, thank you for it. Like if you're, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's like for bodybuilding, you got to eat like an absorbent amount of calories, and now you're blasting all that food through your organs. It's more taxing on your organs and shorten their lifespan. So it's better to eat what you need to be lean and have endurance, and that's the best thing. So as for me anyway. Number 20, I don't like alcohol as much as I used to. This one really comes back to cutting out the things that aren't serving me. When I inventory my life and my friends and the people around me and the things that I consume or the things that I do, I want to cut out things that aren't serving me. You want to optimize your whole life, everything. The people you hang out with from the world so that I can go to the gym and focus on myself. And that's it for things that are serving you, that are giving you a return. All right, there's nothing wrong with going out for a nice steak dinner with your significant other or a friend, maybe even occasionally having a drink or two. But if that's what you're doing and that's all you're doing, that's all you look forward to or whatever, and that's the only thing that you care about, that's not really serving you. What's serving you is getting closer to what matters to you. And in order to do that, you have to get the money right. You have to get the business right. So for me, when I say I don't like alcohol as much as I used to, it's because, well, it doesn't really serve me. I feel like crap. When I drink alcohol, I tend to drink a little bit more than I should. I get a headache. I don't sleep well. I get hungover. It doesn't help me with my health and fitness goals either. My muscle mass goes down. I get chubbier. So think about, for you, number 20 might not be alcohol, but 20 might be you inventorying the things that are not serving you, like toxic people or toxic habits. And you just cut those things out. You just cut them out. So number 20 for you might not be alcohol, it might be something else. For me, that was the one I was talking about with alcohol. So 21, I live for the week, not for the weekends. So when I was in the Navy, and you can relate to this if you have a 9-to-5 job or if you work corporate or something like that, you look forward to your weekends because you worked all week. You're tired. You're like, wow, I got 2 days off. I can go out and have some fun, or I can go to church, or whatever it is that you like to do on the weekend, like to go play ball or hang out with my kids. There's nothing wrong with looking forward to the weekends. It's just a mental switch, a mental thing that we need to cross over to, because when you're a business owner and you're an entrepreneur, you get obsessed with being creative and building things. Right? And when you get obsessed with building and creating things, you look forward to Monday, because Monday you can work and make money. Business owners or the businesses or the customers slow down on the weekend. For me, I have a hard time with the weekends because revenue isn't as high. Revenue is high on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tailors down just a little bit on Thursday, and Friday, basically Friday's the weekend in most people's mind. They're like, hey, they wake up, it's like, TGIF, thank God it's Friday, right? Because it's basically the weekend. So nothing wrong with looking forward to that. It's just a mindset shift that you have to make, and you start to realize that every minute is important. The whole week is important. When you become an entrepreneur and a business owner, you start to realize like every day is extremely important to your growth, prosperity, and to your family, right? So I look forward to the whole week. I don't look forward to just weekends, because during the whole week, I'm getting my family or myself closer to what matters to us, not just living for the weekend to get time off. Like when you're a business owner or entrepreneur, you can basically make your own schedule. Like I can take off on a Monday noon and go wherever I want, or decide on Tuesday morning that I'm just going to fly to a different state and go hang out with friends and snowboard or something. So it's a mindset shift, right? And if you're still working a job and you're building a business, for example, looking forward to the week is something you should adopt, because you want to be building your business throughout the whole week. And then when the weekend comes, you have even more time to build. You have even more time to work on the business and get closer to things that matter to you, right? So this is like a huge mindset shift that I've had that I think would be helpful for you guys. And number 22, we're almost done. Number 22, in order to have financial independence, you must always be a student. The moment that you stop learning and consuming, and the moment you stop reading books, taking courses, or attending events, or going to get closer to people that are ahead of you, the moment you stop being a student and the moment you stop doing those things, you cut yourself off from a more efficient path forward. You cut yourself off from learning something that could have made you $1 million next year. Or you could have cut yourself off from saving someone's life this year, or saving your own life. We all want and strive for financial independence. We all want to make money on our own terms, have our own lifestyle, come and go as we please, be our own boss. Typically, that if you're on this call, I can't imagine you're here for much else than to have financial independence. That's one of the main things that we focus on, helping you guys get towards, but also everything on the list. Like, this is important, but as well as all these things on the list, right? For you to have the financial independence, you got to understand basically everything that's on this list, because a lot of what's on this list is accountability, ownership, and some other tactics and things that I've learned through my years. You have to always remain a student. So if there's ever an opportunity to watch a video, to take a training, to learn from us in our programs, to jump on calls and coaching, if we host events, if we do events where we're in person, come out and hang out. You're probably going to learn something that's going to have a profound impact on your life or your family or your business, right? Don't cut yourself off from learning something that could save you or help you. If there's somewhere you want to go, you got to get around the people that are already there. Like a lot of us think we can just do it on our own. Well, no, you can't, because you don't know what's coming. Better to get around people that are already here. That's why you guys are watching this video or on this call. So this one's really important for me. Always be a student. Always be a student. This is actually a heavy bonus. This is a heavy bonus here, and I'll read it out. So when placing blame, it's way easier to look through a window than it is to look into a mirror. Meaning, or let me just continue to read this. Do the hard thing and recognize and modify your own behavior before lifting a finger. You'll have more credibility, build more trust, and probably solve your problems faster for the long term. So how many times did you get frustrated or overwhelmed, or you approached a situation from a victim mentality or from a poor mindset, right? And instead of taking ownership, you just said, hey, it's that person's fault. It's their fault over there, right? Hey, I've done it too. We've all done it, but we're all humans, and I give you grace, right, and I have compassion for you. But Jack is out of the box on this one, right? Because if there's somewhere we want to be, no one's coming to save us, and we have to take accountability and ownership of our actions and our results if there's somewhere we want to be, right? So before you place blame, before you lift a finger, look at your own behavior. How did you show up to the situation? What work did you put in? Like, seriously, look at that. Look at how much time you put in day to day. Look at your actions day to day. What does that look like? And if you can make a sound judgment that you have done literally everything that you can possibly do, and you felt like you were wrong, then that's okay. Because you know what? People do get screwed over. But the problem is there's so many people that don't take accountability, and they're quick to judge or point a finger, but they don't even look at themselves in the mirror, right? They don't even consider their own behavior or consider their own actions. And that's what I want to instill in you guys, because if you don't do that, you're not going to be credible. No one will give you their money, and you will not be trustworthy, and you will not solve your problems. So the faster you can adopt this one, this might be the most, these are all fire on this list, but this one is, I would say it's definitely in the top couple most important ones on this list, because I've seen this time and time again of people not getting what they want in life, and they immediately point the finger and say it's someone else's fault, but they fail to even look at their own behavior and how they're showing up. So I think if we can do the hard thing, and I know it sucks, it's hard. I know it's hard, but you have to do it if there's somewhere you want to be. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You got to look at how you're showing up. And then you got to remember why you're doing it. If you're doing it for your kids or your significant other, or if you want to leave a legacy, and if you want your name to mean something when you're gone, or if you want to leave a nest egg for your family when you're gone, you got to take accountability of that, right? Because no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to save you, come and save you and ring your doorbell and say, hey, ma'am, here, sir, I'm here to solve all your problems. That's not going to happen. That might happen in a Tyler Perry movie or a Tom Cruise movie or whatever, whoever your insert favorite character and genre. It might happen there in Hollywood, but it's not going to happen here in the real world, backstage where the lights are on. So I hope this was helpful, guys. I hope this was helpful. I want to feed you guys and have these hard conversations, because this is the stuff that really matters. The team, the coaches, the training, the videos, the resources, all of that is put into place so that you can all you got to do is show up, utilize it, and put in the work. If you can do that, great. I want to be here to support you guys in that and have the hard conversations that my team might not necessarily have, because this is the stuff that's actually going to help you progress and move forward and get out of your own way so that you can actually use what my team has given you. Does this make sense? There's so many people and gurus and training programs and courses or whatever the heck there is online nowadays that are selling the magic pill. I want to tell you there is no magic pill. There's work. There's work. And that's what it is. We can simplify things. We can make them as simple as possible. The process is fairly simple here at the Academy and VIP and everything that we do. It's actually quite simple. You just got to show up every day. Follow this list. Man, if I were you guys, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put this in the chat. And how about this? I want to see you guys post this. I want you guys to print this out, screenshot it, put it next to your computer, put it in your back screen, put it on your refrigerator. And then I want you guys to take out your phone, take a picture of where you posted it, and I want you to come back in our community in the comments or make a post in the group and say, no one's coming to save you, or this resonated with me, or Douglas James, thank you for this. I want you guys to be an inspiration for the community and the other people that are around you, because this is not about me, this is about you guys. You guys, I want this message tonight to really spread like wildfire. Go to somewhere and post it and let people know what we talked about tonight, because I guarantee you that at least one thing on this list of 22, 23 things will probably save someone's life, make them $1 million next year, save their marriage, or something. You can't tell me if you show up and not implement at least one of these things in your life, like legitimately, that it's not going to help better your life in some way or your business. I'm not convinced that that's true. I think every single thing is very important. If you did just one thing on this list, it'll probably help you in some way, shape, or form. So be a beacon for other people and inspire them, and use this list to help the community and put it out there. If you believe in this, I want you to put it out there. I want you to find this post, reshare it on Facebook, reshare it on Instagram, let people know, because this is the stuff that's actually making a difference. And that's it, guys. So I hope you got a ton of value out of this video. Let me know in the comments which of the 22 on the list resonated with you. And if you got any value out of the video as well, make sure you like the video and subscribe. Got content coming out all the time around business, financial literacy, and leadership. I want to help you get closer to what matters to you by having these tough conversations and bringing up this material. You know, we can talk about making money and having impact and buying the jet and buying the cars and doing all that cool stuff. What it really comes down to is, what are you doing to make it happen? What is the personal effort and accountability that you're instilling in yourself day to day? And I hope that I was able to help you get closer to that so you can go off and do amazing things for yourself, for your business, for your family. So like the video, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.